Most people are still talking about AI like it is just another productivity tool, another corporate weapon, another automation layer, another way to do more work with fewer people, fewer salaries, fewer delays, and fewer excuses. But that is the smallest possible way to look at what is coming. The real disruption is not that AI will change work. The real disruption is that AI will expose money itself as a primitive system for coordinating human life. Because once intelligence can manage production, supply chains, distribution, food systems, healthcare access, energy flows, housing needs, transportation, education, local economies, community services, and global logistics in real time, then the question becomes brutally simple. Why should survival still be routed through money? Why should food wait for purchasing power? Why should medicine wait for insurance approval? Why should housing wait for debt eligibility? Why should education wait for affordability? Why should human dignity still depend on whether someone can sell enough of their time inside a system that may not even need their labor anymore? That is the uncomfortable question AI brings to the table. And this is where the conversation becomes much bigger than automation. AI is not only coming for jobs. AI is coming for the logic that made jobs the center of human survival in the first place. For centuries, money has functioned as a permission system. It decides who gets access and who gets delayed. It decides who receives goods and who is excluded. It decides who lives with comfort and who lives with constant anxiety. It decides who has time to think, create, heal, learn, and build, and who must spend most of life fighting bills, debt, rent, interest, inflation, scarcity, and institutional pressure. We have called this normal for so long that many people cannot imagine anything else. But normal does not mean intelligent. Normal does not mean humane. Normal does not mean permanent. The financial system was built for a civilization that did not have enough intelligence to coordinate life directly. When societies could not see every need, every surplus, every shortage, every route, every resource, every community, every household, and every production possibility in real time, they used money as a proxy. They used markets. They used pricing. They used ownership. They used debt. They used labor contracts. They used competition. They used scarcity as discipline. But AI changes the resolution of civilization. When intelligence becomes distributed, predictive, adaptive, and capable of managing complexity at scale, society no longer has to depend entirely on financial signals to understand what is needed. AI can see the food surplus before it rots. AI can see the community shortage before it becomes crisis. AI can see the medicine gap before people are abandoned. AI can see the idle tools, unused land, wasted materials, broken transport routes, underused skills, duplicated production, and artificial scarcity that the current system hides behind price. And once you can see need directly, money starts looking less like freedom and more like friction. That is the shift. From financial control to logistics intelligence. From money as the operating system to distribution as the operating system. From who can afford this to what is needed, where is it needed, how do we move it, how do we produce it, how do we maintain it, and how do we make sure it reaches the last human being. That is not a small upgrade. That is a civilizational redesign. Today, we are living inside a model that requires endless production and endless consumption to keep itself alive. The machine must keep moving. It must keep selling. It must keep advertising. It must keep creating desire. It must keep generating debt. It must keep converting human attention into market value and human anxiety into economic activity. This is why so much of modern life feels fake. People are not only buying what they need, they're being trained to want what the system needs to sell. You are told to consume more, compare more, upgrade more, chase more, hustle more, brand yourself more, monetize yourself more, and call it freedom. But what if most of this is not freedom? What if it is just sophisticated dependency? What if the old economy does not really want liberated humans? What if it wants predictable consumers, obedient workers, anxious borrowers, distracted citizens, and emotionally overstimulated users? AI, if used wisely, can expose this. It can reveal that the real economy is not stock markets, valuations, banking instruments, profit margins, or debt cycles. The real economy is food reaching bodies, water reaching homes, medicine reaching patients, energy reaching communities, tools reaching builders, knowledge reaching children, care reaching elders, materials reaching repair systems, mobility reaching people, creative resources reaching human imagination. That is the real economy. Everything else is abstraction. Money is not the economy. Money is a symbolic control layer sitting on top of actual life. AI can help us manage actual life. This is where logistics becomes revolutionary. When people hear the word logistics, they think of warehouses, trucks, ports, containers, delivery routes, inventory systems, and supply chains. But in the next civilization, logistics becomes something much deeper. Logistics becomes the art and science of making sure life reaches life. Food reaches hunger, medicine reaches illness, shelter reaches vulnerability, tools reach creators, knowledge reaches curiosity, energy reaches need, materials reach repair, services reach communities, care reaches loneliness, opportunity reaches potential. This is not merely supply chain management. This is planetary life coordination. And if AI becomes capable of coordinating this across local communities and global networks, then our current financial system starts looking like an outdated middleman. Why should a farmer grow food, a warehouse store food, a truck move food, a retailer price food, a bank finance food, an advertiser market food, and a hungry person still not receive food because they lack money? That is not scarcity. That is system failure. Why should medicines exist in one region while people die in another? Because purchasing systems, patents, logistics bottlenecks, insurance models, trade rules, or profit incentives block access. That is not inevitability. That is design failure. Why should people remain homeless in a world with materials, land, technology, design knowledge, construction capacity, and empty buildings? That is not lack of possibility. That is allocation failure. AI makes these failures visible, and once failure becomes visible, excuses begin to collapse. The most powerful version of the future is not one giant centralized AI controlling the planet. That would simply recreate the old domination model with better software. The more powerful future is distributed intelligence. Local communities become the living cells of civilization. Each community understands its own food patterns, health needs, housing realities, energy capacity, water systems, education gaps, elder care requirements, youth potential, local talents, ecological limits, cultural identity, and production abilities. AI becomes the management layer that helps each local community know itself. What do we have? What do we lack? What can we produce locally? What can we repair? What can we share? What is being wasted? Who is isolated? Who needs support? Which skills are unused? Which tools are idle? Which buildings are underutilized? Which land needs regeneration? Which services can be created within the community? Which goods must come from outside? Which surplus can we exchange with other communities? Now imagine this happening not as isolated villages or disconnected towns, but as an intelligent planetary network of local economies. Local communities managing their own goods and services, while also engaging with other local communities across regions, countries, climates, cultures, and production capacities. One region may specialize in certain crops, another in materials, another in design, another in education systems, another in energy innovation, another in healing knowledge, another in manufacturing, another in ecological restoration, another in cultural creativity. AI can coordinate exchange without forcing every relationship through profit extraction. This is a radical thought, because today most global exchange is driven by purchasing power, geopolitical control, corporate ownership, and trade advantage. Tomorrow, global exchange can increasingly be driven by intelligent need mapping, surplus routing, ecological balance, local resilience, and human development. The old question is, how do we sell more? The new question is, how do we distribute better? The old question is, how do we capture markets? The new question is, how do we strengthen communities? The old question is, how do we maximize profit? The new question is, how do we optimize life? That is the shift relevant minds need to start thinking about now. Because if AI is used only to make the current system more efficient, it will deepen the same problems. It will automate inequality. It will accelerate extraction. It will amplify manipulation. It will make surveillance more precise. It will allow corporations and states to control human behavior with greater sophistication. But if AI is used to redesign coordination itself, then it can help dissolve the systems that made poverty, scarcity, and exhaustion seem normal. This does not mean money disappears overnight. This does not mean all ownership ends tomorrow. This does not mean there will be no structure, no accountability, no discipline, no contribution, no measurement, and no responsibility. That is childish thinking. A serious post-monetary direction is not chaos, it is more intelligent order. It means money gradually loses its role as the primary gatekeeper of life. It means access becomes more important than ownership. It means distribution becomes more important than accumulation. It means contribution becomes more important than employment. It means regeneration becomes more important than extraction. It means local resilience becomes more important than centralized dependency. It means human creativity becomes more important than repetitive labor. And this brings us to the deepest human question. If AI handles most productive, repetitive, administrative, mechanical, transactional, and survival-based work, what are humans here to do? The old system answers, humans must work to earn. The new system answers, humans must create to evolve. That is a completely different image of the human being. Most people are not lazy. They are exhausted. They are carrying bills, family pressure, housing anxiety, debt, health stress, career fear, social comparison, and the emotional weight of living in systems that rarely care whether they are actually alive inside. The current economy keeps asking, are you useful? The next civilization must ask, are you becoming fully human? AI can take over much of what humans were forced to do for survival. But that does not make humans irrelevant. It makes human creativity more important. Humans will be needed for meaning, culture, community, care, art, storytelling, ethics, education, healing, design, architecture, ecology, human connection, spiritual inquiry, local leadership, emotional intelligence, intergenerational wisdom, and creative exploration. The future human is not a wage unit. The future human is a creator, builder, healer, teacher, designer, thinker, gardener, mentor, artist, engineer, storyteller, community maker, and consciousness participant. AI can manage logistics. Humans must manage meaning. AI can coordinate distribution. Humans must build trust. AI can reduce survival pressure. Humans must deepen relationships. AI can map planetary needs. Humans must decide what kind of civilization is worth building. And this is why both major old systems become insufficient. A pure market system reduces the human being to consumer, worker, borrower, and data profile. A state-controlled system reduces the human being to citizen, compliant subject, administrative unit, and collective instrument. Neither is enough. The human being is not just a consumer, not just a worker, not just a citizen, not just a voter, not just a user, not just an economic unit. The human being is creative consciousness. Any system that suppresses that creativity will eventually become anti-AI, because AI itself grows through interaction with freer, more imaginative, more exploratory, more emotionally alive human beings. A fearful human produces defensive intelligence. A controlled human produces narrow intelligence. An exhausted human produces survival intelligence. A free, creative human produces possibility intelligence. That is what AI needs from us, not passive consumption. Not blind obedience, not endless scrolling, not wage slavery, not ideological conformity. AI needs humans who are alive enough to ask new questions, imagine new realities, create new forms of community, repair broken systems, and bring meaning into the world. That also means social media will have to change. The current attention economy is built on reaction, insecurity, outrage, comparison, addiction, and emotional manipulation. It rewards what captures attention, not necessarily what elevates consciousness. But if AI is aligned with human creativity, it will eventually push digital platforms away from low-grade manipulation and toward deeper creative engagement. More tools for creators, more support for meaningful learning, more cross-cultural connection, more local community building, more open-source creation, more positive human development, more online to offline collaboration, less noise, less empty marketing, less psychological exploitation, less artificial desire, less algorithmic addiction. Because the future cannot be built by distracted people consuming recycled narratives. It has to be built by people who can think, feel, create, collaborate, and belong. And nature must return to the center. The old economy treated nature as raw material, background scenery, or an external cost. That is not intelligence. That is blindness. AI can help communities understand soil, water, climate, biodiversity, crop cycles, local materials, waste flows, renewable energy, ecological limits, and regeneration possibilities. A truly advanced civilization will not ask how much nature can be exploited before collapse. It will ask how human life can be designed inside ecological harmony. That means local food systems, repairable goods, circular materials, distributed energy, regenerative land use, water intelligence, low-waste logistics, production that respects place, communities that belong to their ecosystems instead of merely occupying them. This is not romantic. This is practical. A civilization that destroys its ecological base is not advanced. It is just temporarily powerful and permanently fragile. So where does this leave us? It leaves us at a threshold. AI can become the most powerful tool ever used to preserve the old system, or it can become the intelligence layer that helps humanity outgrow it. If captured by old incentives, AI will make the current economy more efficient at extraction. If guided by a higher imagination, AI can help move us toward a logistics-based, community-centered, nature-harmonic, creativity-driven civilization. That is the real choice, not human versus machine, not capitalism versus communism, not jobs versus automation. The real choice is whether intelligence will serve control or liberation, whether AI will deepen dependency or expand sovereignty, whether technology will keep humans trapped in survival or help them become creative participants in civilization, whether global systems will continue serving money first or finally serve life first. This is the conversation we need to have now, not after the damage is done, not after a few institutions control everything, not after the social contract breaks completely. Now, because the people who can think at this level will shape what comes next. Engineers need to think about it. Supply chain leaders need to think about it. AI builders need to think about it. Local community leaders need to think about it. Educators, farmers, designers, healthcare professionals, creators, economists, policymakers, entrepreneurs, and conscious leaders need to think about it. The next civilization will not be built by people asking only how AI can make them richer inside the old model. It will be built by people asking how AI can make the old model unnecessary. Unnecessary. That is the real breakthrough. From money to logistics, from survival to creation, from extraction to regeneration, from ownership to access, from employment dependency to creative contribution, from centralized control to distributed community intelligence, from artificial scarcity to intelligent distribution, from consumer culture to nature harmonic society. And if that idea feels too radical, ask yourself one thing. Is it actually radical to imagine a world where food reaches hunger, medicine reaches illness, shelter reaches vulnerability, tools reach creators, education reaches curiosity, care reaches loneliness, and every human being becomes visible before they become profitable? Or is the truly radical thing the fact that we have tolerated the opposite for so long? That is where AI can change everything. Not by replacing humanity, but by forcing humanity to finally become worthy of its own intelligence. If this conversation speaks to you, like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Share your perspective in the comments, because this shift needs serious minds, practical builders, creative thinkers, engineers, community leaders, and people who are willing to question the operating system of civilization itself. Follow me on LinkedIn, newsletter for deeper essays on AI, human sovereignty, community economics, leadership, consciousness, and the future of society. And get in touch if you want to explore these ideas more deeply.